Seen Del Potro play a few times, like I said, since he's been back, and it always looks like that. It looks like he's never in a rhythm. Looks like he never has his feet under there, but yet he's just so good everywhere that he's it's tough to get by him.
He's a fascinating character, isn't he, off-court as well, because he is so placid off-court. When you see him in the players' lounge, the locker room, on the bus, he always looks to me to be half asleep. He's always laying out, he's got his head, he's just sitting there almost asleep, and yet on-court, he actually changes into a different guy. Nice and early from Mannarino.
That's a nice backhand cross court. I found whenever a lefty was able to hit that backhand, you know, hard and flat through my forehand, I think righties tend to have a very, very tough time with that shot. It doesn't have to be on the money, but it's tough to get something back on that ball.
Heavy ball, isn't it? A very heavy ball.
Yeah, and when we speak about heavy balls, you know, it's just really the combination of everything. It's not only just the pure pace, it's the pace plus the spin, and it really just eats you up. It eats that racket up after it makes contact.
Coached by Franco Davine. Still is Del Potro. It's the man in his corner. Generally actually carries quite a small team around him. Doesn't have that many guys in his corner.
He hasn't caught on yet.
No.
The idea is the more the better.
It's the payroll, you see, Taylor. He's keeping it tight, that purse.
Going back to that heavy ball, I remember I watched Sampras play Hewitt in the finals of the U.S. Open one year, and they showed a little stat. And, you know, they picked a serve that Sampras hit at like 115 and Hewitt hit at 115. And after the ball hit the court, Hewitt slowed down to like 75 miles an hour, and Sampras has only slowed down to like 93. So that kind of puts a number on what a heavy ball is.
Was there a guy? Who was the guy you played then in your day when you thought, wow, that's a little different? Was there any guys that?
Well, I played Nadal like my last year on tour, and that was definitely different.
In what way?
Just that when that ball hits the court, it just explodes. You know, it's like you said, it's a heavy ball like I have never seen before. I felt like, shoot, I better, any chance I get, any half chance I get, I better try and paste a winner, because I don't think I can sustain taking these blows.
Mannarino taking the ball pretty early himself in that game, but not able to get the break. It's Del Potro who leads 1-0.
It's not bad to win that first service game with a little bit of a struggle. You know, it gives you a chance to get into the match and play. Now you're ready to face Mannarino's serve. I never minded battling for a couple of holds here and there during the set, because you don't want to hold easy and then at 4-all, you know, 4-5, something like that, all of a sudden you're down 15-30. It's a lot tougher to play that game than if you'd been challenged a little bit earlier.
It's been a very strange last 7 days here in Melbourne. It was very, very cold actually last week, Thursday, Friday. It was chilly. It was down to about 60, 63, 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Very cold for this time of year. Now we're up into the late 90s. So they do say you get 4 seasons in one day here, and that's very true. Rather strange, but temperature set to be good this week. Set to soar.
I think Del Potro smells blood with that forehand. Mannarino's, you know, he was set up on 2 or 3 of those forehands, and those balls were just hanging in the middle of the court. You better hope Del Potro has an off day if he's leaving that many opportunities.
Of course, it was his wrist that knocked him out. Had surgery in early May of 2010. Took a little while to actually diagnose the problem, and I think that was, you know, when you think back to when he played here 2 years ago, and she stopped, I think, in January, but then he had surgery till May, so he was away for 4 months. Whether it was a misdiagnosis, I don't know, or exactly what the problem is. You're a man who knows all about injuries, Taylor.
Yeah, I was faced with the same question with my back. I got to tell you, as an athlete, a pro athlete who wants to keep playing on tour, surgery is absolutely the last option, because it's no guarantee. You never know what's going to happen, and the surgeons will say that basically, if they're being honest. You know, they're going to do the best they can, but it's not like we're repairing a normal wrist or a normal back. You're putting it through a lot of stress.
And I think the wrist as well, specifically, is a very, very tender area for a tennis player, isn't it? Very.
Especially in today's game, you know, with all these wristy forehands, wristy backhands, all that topspin that's being generated, these heavy balls we're talking about, you have to fight those off with your wrist. Absolutely, you know. If you're back in the old day, locking that wrist out, just hitting that nice continental forehand, probably don't have to rely on it too much.
Mannarino. So Mannarino with his first ace. It's rather language style that he has. Yeah, I think it takes it a while as well to get, you could tell us about the confidence you have to regain in yourself and your body as a player who's had, for example, 9 months on the sidelines. That must take a while.
It does. It definitely does. I don't know if I could put a month number on it, but it's certainly not days. It's certainly not weeks. I mean, to feel like, yeah, I can swing as hard as I like and it's not going to hurt is definitely a big step.
So is it a mental or more physical thing, Taylor, in terms of, obviously there's the physical side of it, but do you have to get back the belief in your, for example, your back or his wrist? Is that's a factor in there as well?
I think at the stage that Del Potro is at, obviously I think he's over it. He doesn't mention it, whatever, but I think mostly it becomes mental. You know, in the beginning, your wrist is hurt, whatever it may be is hurt. You do the rehab, and it gets stronger. It's probably stronger than it was before. But you're so mentally attuned to that spot on your body that any little thing you feel, and you're going to feel stuff. You know you are. You know, you had surgery or it has been hurt. You are hypersensitive to it.
Super return has come out to take the ball very early, it would seem.
Great early return. The key for me, when you are stepping in and taking these returns early, look, he's 2-3 feet inside the baseline, you better get some nice width on that, because if he hits that nice and solid right down the middle of the court, all he's doing is taking time away from himself.
15. And aware, I'm sure, of the early return from the previous point. A double fault. It's a couple of chances for the Frenchman here.
Mixed up that second serve there. Went body. He wasn't game to try that backhand out again.
For service.
Yeah, another double fault and unable to find the first serve enough times in that game. And Mannarino, it is surprisingly perhaps, who makes the first move here. He gets the break and leads 2-1. So Ron Heistant's arena here. Taylor Dent alongside myself, Nick Lester, looking at the, there he is, the former world number 4. Still at 400 12 months ago, but some comeback last year. We expected as much.
That last Sarah's game looked like he was still 400. But I think that's a defining thing about what makes the great players great is he can play a dog of a game like that, and look at him. It's like nothing ever happened.
That's also the beauty of a 5-set tennis, isn't it? As we've alluded to, you know, you can play a bad set. It's not life or death. If you do play a poor set, you've always got that cushion in there.
No, that's absolutely right. Obviously, he'd love to start the tournament off quickly and smoothly, but no need to panic. Plenty of tennis.
Enjoy playing down here?
I did. You know, obviously my father's Australian. I have a lot of family down under. It was great. The courts really depend. We were talking about this earlier. It really depends on the year. I remember some years they were really fast, which I liked, and some years they were just slow as molasses, and made my job very, very tough.
Yeah, the people here are very, very friendly. And it's often said, and sometimes we talk about it too much, but there is a real feel that people are actually quite happy in Australia. It's, you know, it's a strange kind of scenario, but they're so isolated.
Yeah, what's wrong with them?
No. Yeah, but you know what I mean? It is though, isn't it? Did you feel, every time I go to Australia, I love it. I just think the people are so friendly, they're so welcoming.
The culture is definitely very different than say parts of the other, you know, the U.S.
and Europe, I think as well. Yeah, definitely.
Just a cultural thing.
Yeah, it is. And they're such a sporty nation that, you know, they really are. The climate, of course, helps that so much because you can spend so much time outdoors, which is a huge factor. And this is the biggest event in their year, as far as numbers are concerned. Oh, it's an outrageous return from Mannarino. Absolutely crunched it. Look at this off for his first serve.
It's the benefit of those nice short swings. Returns, just keep it out in front nice and early, use the pace, redirect that ball.
Again off a good return and then an early forehand.
Yeah, and Mannarino, he's playing good points, but they're not the type of points that you'd expect to see this many errors off of Del Potro's racket for sure.
A slightly slow start for the big man here. Good point all round.
30 all.
Frenchman who qualified in Auckland, beat Kevin Anderson. Good win beating Kevin Anderson there.
It's an interesting win. Kevin had an unbelievable year last year, and before that he was just kind of a career challenger player.
Illinois, was it Illinois? Where did you university?
Illini.
Yeah,
that's right. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he was on the same team as Amir Delic, under Craig Tiley, who was involved in...
Tournament? Was he tournament director?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
He had a very good team. A lot of good players. I'm blanking. Oh, Rajiv Ram was there. You know, a lot of professional players.
So a chance for a double break here for Adrian Mannarino. Gets it. And Del Potro is struggling at the start of this one on Hyacinths. Mannarino has a double break after just 18 minutes. It's looking good. 4-1. We're going to take a quick break. Head to Steve in the studio.
All right, thanks, guys. So the Frenchman now up 4-1 on Juan Martín Del Potro, the 11th seed. Remember, ESPN's interactive coverage of the Australian Open is all over social media. Search for us on Facebook, ITV Tennis. You can get extra commentary, analysis, ask our commentators questions, and throughout the day, we'll answer those questions for you from Facebook, or please follow us on Twitter at ITV Tennis. Also, to get in on the conversation, hashtag your tweets with ITV Tennis, and we'll be able to participate with you on the internet. Now back to your match with your commentators, Nick Lester and Taylor Dent.
Thanks, Steve. And there's a picture of Adrian Mannarino, as we said, who qualified in Auckland, beat Kevin Anderson, lost to Guillermo Garcia Lopez in his second match in Auckland. But I was going through some of his numbers last year. Played a lot of tennis last year, 30 weeks in all, 30 weeks worth of tournaments. It's a lot, Challenger, and
he's got nothing on Davydenko.
True, no one has Taylor.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, well, Davydenko, he's collecting all those freebies, isn't he, from the hotels? That's what it is.
No, 30 weeks is...
It's a grind, huh?
It is a grind. And is that just tournament weeks or is that travel weeks? Because
yeah,
obviously, some tournaments are 2-week tournaments.
Sure. Yeah, and I guess that what happens with all these guys is when you start to get the winning feeling like he had back in the last year, he's up to sort of 60. He's wanting to capitalise on that, isn't he? He's getting into tournaments perhaps he's not. Before he wants to play.
Well, and that's exactly right, and you hit on it. There's always these little rankings within the rankings. You know, as soon as you get to 60, something like that, you start to get seeded in some of these smaller tournaments, so the draws get easier. And then the incentive is, well, shoot, if I can just bump that up to maybe 40, you get seeded in some of these bigger tournaments, and so on and so forth. So you end up chasing it when you're his ranking. You know, when you're top 10, who cares what you're seeded? It's not a big deal. You're not going to play anybody good till the... I mean, nobody great, I should say, until the quarter.
And then the downside of that is, of course, someone like Mannarino starts to lose, starts to pick up a bunch of first rounds. Suddenly, you're then in a vicious circle because you still got to play these tournaments and you haven't won in 4 weeks.
I was going to say, Del Potro just doesn't seem to be able to hurt Mannarino too much. He may hit one good ball out of the center, you know, toward the sideline to get Mannarino run, and the next ball's going big right down the center. And Mannarino is just using all that pace, redirecting it, pushing Del Potro around the court. I mean, it's too early to hit the panic button yet. It's just, it's definitely interesting.
A lot of work on that serve. Short up the court. Del Potro was just too slow.
Those lefties cheat with that serve. Never seen a righty be able to do that as well as a lefty.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know why. Because you're going to righties forehand out there, and 90% of the tours are right-handers.
It's a great serve. It's been a good opening for him. Someone once said to me that the biggest advantage lefties has is that lefties play righties more than righties play lefties. Right. Simple as.
I wonder what the percentage is, but the percentage would be 80% right-handers.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just a guess, Nick. Don't quote me on that one.
Well, not a scoreline we had envisioned right at the start of this one, but Del Potro at 1-5. Just all over his serve at the moment.
15.
He's really making Del Potro look slow out there. And I know he's deceiving with his speed, Del Potro, but he's not in position often right now. And I know going down a set, like you were talking about in a 5-set match, isn't, you know, time to hit panic button, but you wouldn't want to be down a set and a couple of breaks early.
There we go.
He's going to have to start stepping it up like that. Otherwise, it will be time for a little bit of fear in the Del Potro camp.
Del Potro did play in Sydney last week, where he lost to Baghdadis in the quarters.
I never know what to make of losses or wins over Baghdadis. To me, he's two different players. You know, the player, when he's playing well, is a top 10 player. And then there's the other Baghdadis that, for whatever the reason, just doesn't show up. So that could have been not a bad match, or it could have been a terrible loss.
Yeah, I watched Baghdadis play a set in Basel last year that was outstanding against Djokovic. Won the first set, played lights out tennis and just couldn't maintain it. But you're right, when he is hot, Baghdadis, he really is right up there.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, again, you can't really hit the ball anywhere and feel safe. He's got a very nice forehand, very dangerous backhand, serves well.
That's big. Well, that's a little more like the sort of hitting we have come to know as far as this Argentine goes. But he's playing catch-up, certainly, as this first set. 5-2 to Mannarino.
Time.
Part of ESPN's interactive coverage once more for the Australian Open. 4th year of doing so. Kicking off in the Hisense Arena. Mannarino serving for this opening set.
That's a great point. And to illustrate what you said earlier, I mean, there are a few different ways you can hurt your opponent. And what Mannarino decides to do with his style of play is step in, take the ball early, and hit it accurately. He doesn't really hit a heavy ball, but he takes time away from the opponent, and he also gets it very, very close to the sidelines. Del Potro, on the other hand, he kind of has a few more options in his arsenal. He can hit it big, he takes it early.
It's interesting to look at his forehand because he actually has no loop, virtually no loop, does he? It's literally, it's just there. The take back is so minimal.
Looked like he was learning forehands leaning up against the wall. But that little drop shot's worked for him 3 times now.
Some pretty good numbers as well, Mannarino on first serve at the moment. He's made 13 out of 14 first serves. Nope, he's missed it.
40-30.
Bet you Mannarino didn't think he'd be in this position if you asked him before the match.
He's certainly taking it though.
Yeah, exactly. You got to. Go out there, you play your heart out, and you take whatever your opponent gives you.
Yeah, just shy of half an hour is all it is. And it's set point. He's got it. Swinging lefty delivery from Adrian Mannarino. 2 breaks in an opening set, and the number 11 seed has got problems because after half an hour, 6-2 for the Frenchman. Taylor Dent is going to have a little breather. Murphy Jensen will be with us very shortly. There's the numbers as far as that first serve is concerned, and 85%, just putting a lot of first balls in. You can see Del Potro, a bit of a struggle all in all. How you doing, Murph?
I'm doing great. What a first set. I mean, no one saw this coming for the first set of the fortnight for Delpo.
Exactly. A bit of a slow start for him. As you said, had that loss last week to Baghdadis in Sydney. Came in there as a top seed, but couldn't get it done there. But as we have alluded to as well, the beauty of 5-set tennis is such that you can play poorly for half an hour, 35 minutes, and still be very much in the match.
Sure, and I felt that this wasn't going to be an easy match for Delpo just because he's playing a lefty. And there aren't a lot of lefties out there, and they're so effective, especially on this rebound ace surface. And, you know, he gets that ball up high, and he's able to give him a different look.
So some work to be done.
Second set, Del Potro to serve.
Placid character off court that is from Argentina. Set number 2. That is just the sort of return that was so effective in the opening set, taking it just so early, stifling him almost.
He's got a beautiful forehand, the way he, you know, takes it up early into the court. You know, that big lefty, huge spin. It's the mental I question with Mannarino.
15 all.
And at this point in the match, Delpo's thinking, all right, I'm down a set. Let's reset, you know, the game plan, and I'm definitely warm. Maybe not warmed up, but he's warm. You're in Australia.
You wake up warm, don't you, in Australia, man?
You do, you know. Fighting off kangaroos.
Blistering on the run.
And that's what really makes his game so great. He's the first big man that moved so well. Here he is way out wide of the forehand side. Blistering forehand, and Mannarino just quit on it. He didn't think it was coming back.
Yeah, you're right. He was kind of the first big guy, wasn't he? Who actually really kind of moved, was able to hit so well on the run.
Well, some people may question me and say that Murat Safin, he was the first guy that I saw, but Delpo's huge. He's a big man. Oh, and the ball's good. And that's what Delpo's thinking right now. I got to find a chink in this guy's armor, and I've got to tighten up the screws on my ship and just get my game back to being organized.
14.
Nice first serve.
He's made it in the corner.
14-13.
And the notes that I got was that Mannarino has this weapon of a forehand, and when you're so deadly off of one shot, you can change things so quickly. It's tough for a big guy like Delpo.
Well, it's a puzzle in front of him today, Del Potro, that's for sure.
First game, second set.
He's on the way perhaps to just steadying things. An early hold, just what he needed. 6-6, 6-7, it seems to be the way these days, isn't it? Guys seem to be getting taller. Until when you were playing, Murph, 15, 20 years ago, whatever it was. Is it noticeable guys on tour are bigger and stronger, and is that changing?
The locker room's huge, and the singles draw is huge. You know, that guy 5'2", 5'3", 5'4", that Fabrice Santoro is becoming fewer and far between. And, you know, big guys, big game, big money.
Yeah.
You're getting the bigger athlete playing the bigger game, and they've got such great reach. You know, if they can move at that at this high level, they can play this game. And you can even look at a guy like John Isner. Nice ground strokes, decent returns, but he's in the top 15, 20 in the world with a serve. One shot.
You do wonder where that's going to end, don't you? What's going to happen in 10 years' time? We're going to be sitting here with everyone being 6'10", or are we going to go full circle and it's going to change again? Or be interesting to see how it goes.
Nick, that's a great question. I mean, that's the beauty of this game. New styles, there will always be, heavyweights and lightweights in the game of tennis, and both can be effective. It all comes down to matchups. Great serve in there by Mannarino, using the T-bone right down the middle. And if I'm Mannarino, I'm just saying, just keep it steady, keep holding, keep my nerve. He's in a nice position.
There we go. Potro getting his feet up on the court, up on the baseline for once.
As well as moving the ball around the court. He hits the backhand, sets it up, but he's using the entire court behind Mannarino to get the effective winner. And to finish our conversation, it's not just strength and quickness. I think it's going to be style of play. It will always be consistency kills in the game of tennis. The most consistent player is usually the one standing at the end of the fortnight or end of the Grand Slam. I always say that tennis is a very simple game played by very complicated people. At the end of the day, we have to put the ball over the net.
Absolutely.
And in the court.
Absolutely. Well, a good friend of mine back in the UK has a tennis company called Over and In Murph. And I'll tell you what, he is just like you. His thinking is identical to yours. And he called his company Over and In. It's a coaching organisation.
Yeah.
And he says too many coaches in the world make this sport so ridiculously complex. It's crazy.
When I've got an 85-year-old asking me to teach them the Rafael Nadal forehand, I want to learn the Rafael Nadal forehand, and so does Roger Federer, I think. And what I love about the game is that no two players play the same, and I love that over and in is it. And there's a perfect example. And if you want to get saucy, you might want to hit it away from the other guy instead of right back to him.
A good friend of mine's a coach, and he said to me the other day, a lady turned up for a lesson, and she said, "What do you want?" He said, "What do you want to do?" And she said, "I just want to hit winners for the hour. I want to hit winners." And he said, "Well, go and watch the television. How many guys hit winners?" And not that often. Over and in is the way that you're going to win points more often than not.
Or not have an opponent is another way
exactly.
to hit winners. Mannarino's backhand showing some weakness in that last point.
It's beautiful from Del Potro. A second serve he got to look at, and he went right after it. And he's broken here for 2-love.
Leads by 2 games to love, the second set.
Look at this. Alive to the sliding serve there.
That's a la Borg back in the day, but Borg did it on grass with McEnroe's lefty swinger wide. He just takes a step. In Del Potro's case, maybe a little step, baby step, to crack that forehand. Percentages going up for Del Potro. Smoking forehand. And that's the move with to combat Del Potro's size and strength, is to go behind him and to catch his footwork off guard. That was perfect. I don't understand why Delpo is picking on the forehand of Mannarino, who's playing so well on that side. It's a tough wing to beat. the best time to break back after losing your serve is usually the very next game. Don't ask me why. I've been trying to solve that riddle forever.
Well, I'll tell you for why, because a break is never a break until you've held.
Good point. Good point.
So what are you doing these days, Murph? You keeping busy in life?
Staying really busy. Living in sunny Southern California when I'm
Very
not
nice.
spending time in...
Bit of coaching, or
You know, I'm coaching the Washington Castles World Team Tennis Organization. We've got a pretty decent team with the Williams sisters, Leander Paez, Renee Stubbs, Bobby Reynolds. Who's
you had an
playing-
undefeated season last year, right? Or wrong? Am I thinking of someone else? Maybe I got that
Oh,
confused.
yeah, we did go undefeated.
There you go.
First time in the 30-some years.
See, that news made it even to London, Murph.
That's something.
That's how big it was.
I heard I was big in Belgium, too. That's not paying the bills.
Well, he's big all over the world. He's won Martin Del Potro in every fashion. And he leads 3-love here, and he's on the comeback.
Leads by 3 games to love.
Perhaps.
First set, Mannarino.
Things not perhaps going as he would have anticipated, but maybe just getting back on track here. Martin Del Potro against his French opponent. Goodness me, the French have a bunch of players, don't they? Year in, year out, they have just performers. They may not have too many slams in the bag as late on the men's side, but they are such a fantastic nation as far as generating players is concerned. Such a great system in France, isn't it? Such a good club system. They have so many players, so many licensed. I think they've got over 1 million licensed players that just pick up a racket and compete week in, week out. Really, really healthy system over there.
Thank you.
It's part of the culture.
And on the pro level is what's so impressive to me is how there's a feeder system. Once you're done playing, they don't want to lose you in the system. They want to keep you in the system and get you with a junior and mentor one of these players to great things.
I think that's so important, isn't it, Murph? When you've got guys that are in their 40s and their 50s, men and women, still playing, because that infiltrates down the family. And you've got grandkids that are still playing. Let's go to the club, let's hit some balls. And that's such a great thing. And I think that's one thing certainly that we lack in the UK, being from where I am, and perhaps over here, I don't know, you could tell me, but you know, if you keep it generations playing, you're going to have more players.
Well, and that's what drew me to the game in the first place. I played my first tournaments with my grandfather or my father or my mother or my sister. It's a family sport. You keep it all in the family for generations. You're going to come up with some great stuff.
They have a lot of tournaments in France as well. There's a lot of competitive play. You don't have to travel that far to get to your tournaments as well. A lot of local clubs are very willing to put on matches on weekends. It's again all breeds having players and being competitive. You know, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier on. It's not always about coaching. It's about young players getting out there and just playing matches.
Yeah, and being inspired. You know, being inspired by a family member or a bad call or a rivalry with an older brother like I had.
Absolutely.
You know, people always ask me my greatest win. I'm 10 and I take out my brother Luke when he's up in the 12 and under division, and everyone is cheering for me. And I think Luke cried.
Dear. He got over it though, right?
Yeah, he did. Became the #1 junior in the world.
Oh, there you go.
Picked on me for the rest of my life.
Potro leads by 4 games
Now
to
that's a
love.
turnaround.
Second set.
That's how you do it. Just reset the button, believe in your abilities. Delpo's got such a powerful game that eventually he's going to break through. You know, inconsistency is what's plagued Mannarino.
Couple of French players coming here with hope. Wilfried Tsonga had a fantastic 2011, didn't he? A lot of people feel he might be someone here that can make an impact.
He's, to me, so bloody talented. He's got not weapons, massive weapons. From the serve to the volley to the quickness to that ripping forehand and backhand. He's so bloody dangerous that he feels, just like with that last shot, that he can hit a winner from anywhere in the court. And that's dangerous for a guy like Murray or Joke or Federer and Nadal. I mean, that's a big monster serve. Handles it so easily.
That time went a little more at his body.
Delpo's mixing it up a lot, and he's taking a little bit off that first serve. The first set percentage, I think, was 50%, or maybe just better.
Oh, he's just lashed at that one.
Once again, the only place I see Mannarino getting easy points is off the forehand side. Yet Delpo stretches him out perfectly here, but that return was just a little too tough, which gave him that forehand corker, I like to call it.
That's a very British term, corker. I like that.
I think you're bringing it out of me. It's a good day for tennis.
No, we say anyone for tennis.
Anyone for tennis.
Anyone for tennis.
Ends second service.
And you know who loves the British accent is Roger Federer, not just because of his success at Wimbledon. He told me his favorite expression was, "I felt so pearly today." What's pearly? I'm still trying pearly.
I think it means chipper.
Chipper.
You heard the chipper.
Perfect.
You're feeling good.
Okay. I figured, now I know.
Federer due to open up tonight. He plays the evening session. Bidding for his 17th Grand Slam title. Not one for a couple of years, though. Oof, has he made that? He has, I think.
That's a good challenge. I'm saying just the edge catches the line. Oh!
Bang on.
Right in the middle. I didn't even see it well.
Mannarino has 2 challenges remaining.
Completely shanked that one.
Well, that's why they keep ball boys up in the crowd for shots like that. That's what I brought to the game. A few too many overheads into the cheap seats. Wow, too big of a swing. The shorter you are on the court, the shorter your backswing. That's what makes the difference.
You really couldn't have 2 more contrasting forehands on this court, could you, today?
Oh yeah, one's a big flat blistering shot, and the other heavy top whippy.
Advantage, Mannarino.
Didn't get the backhand, did he? Just didn't time it.
He mishit it a little bit, and that's, as great as Del Potro is, his footwork sometimes fails him. High one.
Oh, what a tremendous point. Mannarino sticking a couple of balls back in play and making Del Pot work just a little bit harder.
And that's smart by Mannarino, because he's telling Del Pot that you're going to have to earn it. Here he is surviving a smash, throws it up, way up. That wasn't easy. Nice little slider, open volley winner. And Del Pot wants to break the spirit of the Frenchman.
Advantage Del Potro.
Return early, but forehand that Del Potro would have backed himself to have made.
The big guy's talking to himself.
Yes, he is. It's like a big friendly giant, isn't he? He always reminds me of. He keeps himself so low key, and yet he does have such fire within him. He's such an interesting character.
And that's the thing that surprises me, is that he's a tough guy to beat. You don't just come out and say you're going to blow the doors off of Del Pot, and his resiliency is something for a big guy.
Yeah, not to be. Good point from Mannarino, taking the ball early, but didn't happen. We're about to be level here on Hisense, because Del Potro, having dropped the first set, leads the second here. 5-zip. Remember, that's how you can get in touch with us here on Facebook, facebook.com/E3ITV Tennis, or if you're on Twitter, use the @ITV Tennis. That's where you want to go to get in touch with either Murphy Jensen or myself, Nick Lester, here in the commentary box. So when do you start recruiting for the Castles this summer? Has that happened already or not?
It's really funny you say that. Moments before coming on with the broadcast, I was speaking with Mark Ian, team owner in Washington, D.C., and we were discussing how the players are doing. Bobby Reynolds with the big win over John Isner last week, hoping that he'll come back. He played so well for us. Renee Stubbs, is she going to come out of retirement to play for us? Leander Paes. We really look at how players are doing, how are they faring during the season, injuries as well as results.
That's awesome. And is that your... So, for example, if you wanted to get in touch with Leander Pace, you obviously know the guys inside out. You give them a call on the mobile, or how does it work? Will you speak to their agent, or what's the deal?
Well, that's a good question. I just call Leander directly. Leander, the players that were on the team last year, we reserved the rights to those players.
Okay.
And coming in around Key Biscayne for the tour event is when the draft takes place. But Mark and I, it's day one the Australian Open, and we're already looking at our options, how are our players doing, who wants to come back and who doesn't. Because if you don't, we better fill in those shoes.
Faults.
It's been a great experience for me, and honestly, I've had more fun coaching that team than I ever did playing for some reason.
Potro stopped here.
That's strange.
James Kiathavong in the chair, brother of Anne Kiathavong, who's playing today in the women's singles.
39.
That's a close one.
Potro has 2 challenges remaining.
And this is an important game for Mannarino. If he holds, forcing Del Potro to serve it out, he gets to start serving the third set, which is huge. You want to be the player up 1-0, 2-1, 3-2.
That has got some swing on it, that serve. Very short up the box.
40-15.
Being a lefty myself, I call that serve the mama's meatloaf. Swinging you way out. Little meat, little potatoes.
I was going to say, my head is ticking, Murph. You've got me thinking about why it's called the mama's meatloaf now.
Mannarino.
Hanna Jensen, brother. We had a name for every serve.
Of course you did.
Del Potro leads by
5-1 here.
Second set.
So when does the World Team Tennis start? What's the opening? When's your opening fixture?
Well, this year is going to be a little bit different because Wimbledon and the Olympics. Wimbledon ending a little bit later, so I think the schedule was announced, starts July 9th, ends a little bit early, and the playoffs, instead of following the season, will follow the U.S. Open. I almost want to retire because we went undefeated. It's never been done. Hopefully never will be done again. I mean, they're just pounding the ball from the baseline. It's hard to believe that Mannarino feels that he can outslug the big boy. I'd save all the energy I can if I have a chance to win this one.
Yet another stunning return of serve.
And it's not just the return of serve what I'm impressed with. It's his quickness to notice that he's hit it well and that Delpo is going to cough up a short ball. And he attacks it well.
got him. What a great little pattern of play. A drop shot again, very effective.
He brings in the big boy, forcing him to hit the volley, taking it with, you know, the French guys are crafty. And what I love is, look at this backhand. Way out in front, sharp, sharp angle.
Interesting number, Del Potro only at 47%. Second serve points won. It's pretty low. It's 10 from 21.
Well, I noticed Mannarino, his game plan is to keep these points short. He doesn't want to get into a long, drawn-out, you know, slugfest with the big guy. Now, there's a reason he's a U.S. Open champion. There's a reason he's the biggest threat at 11. But that second serve percentage is something to be concerned about for Delpo. And to me, Delpo always looks when he's on the run like something's going to break. Look at that. He's on the ground just about, forcing his opponent to play one more shot. Even this volley, I like the fact that he throws it back into the court, forcing him to hit one more ball. Great game for Mannarino, making him work for it.
Advantage, Del Potro.
Nice body serve.
Wait, please, wait, please. Something's going on here, man. 1 second, Adrian.
Just a little issue, I think, in the crowd. I think someone seemed to be the problem.
Buddy, call the doctor, please.
Yeah, the doctor has been called. So we're going to have a little interruption here. We can't quite see. I suspect it's someone in the crowd.
James to Andy.
That guy's certainly looking that way.
And if you're a player looking up into the crowd thinking, if they're hot, what do I hope I'm in shape for this.
You can see one of the tour trainers has actually gone out there to get involved and help out. Remember, this happened in Toronto, or was it Montreal this summer, I think in the final there, and a gentleman actually was choking at the back of the court, and there was a complete kerfuffle at the back, and in the end play was stopped and someone had to employ the Heimlich maneuver to get rid of that, whatever it was that was stuck in the gentleman's throat midway through that match.
That's unbelievable.
But it is hot today. Can reach up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And that stand where that person is sadly unwell is right in the heart, right in the line of the sunlight at the moment. If you haven't got your factor, whatever it, in fact, if you have got whatever you've got on, it's tough to really get out of it. To drink a lot of water, of course.
Well, you got to come prepared, not only as a player but as a fan. You know, I've interviewed fans at the U.S. Open. A lot of them bring umbrellas. You know, being British, you know, Wimbledon, you better.
For different reasons, though, Murph, we bring umbrellas.
You bring sunscreen, umbrellas, ponchos, snowmobile suits. Anything's possible in the UK. But that's not what you want to see in the crowd. Hopefully they've got to him quick enough.
Ladies and gentlemen, please temporarily.
Fantastic numbers they've posted here over the years in terms of crowds. 650,000 people came in here last year. Just a record it was. In fact, 2010 was the crowd record. 653,000 I think it was. Just below last year, but They really have. Year on year, they've managed to draw the crowds. And the thing I love about this slam is that there's so much more going on than just about the tennis. You know, there's bands playing in the evening. Has a little more feel like the US Open, where it's a party. And I think that really is emphasised here.
And it's a worldwide event, more so than I think even the U.S. Open, because Australia being so exotic, you can go there, you can see the tennis, you can hit the wine country, you can head to the beaches, you can see your favorite player in the cafes. There's so much culturally, Melbourne is very, very international.
It is, and this particular venue, Melbourne Park, is right virtually in the heart. You're only about literally a kilometre from the central business district down in Melbourne. When you think of Wimbledon, where Wimbledon's located, some say at least 35-40 minutes as a train ride outside the centre of town. Here, we are almost on top of the town centre, and it's remarkable.
Walking distance.
Yeah. Have a great little tram ride you can take from Flinders Park, which is where it is, as James Giathavong, I think, is just going to explain to Del Potro the situation here, what is going on.
I don't think the players will get cold, or
No.
I would be surprised if they need to take a warm-up. If another 5 minutes comes by, there's a chance they'll need to re-warm up 5-10 minutes.
He's got a shot in the top right of your screen there for the French contingent. Anna Di Pasquale was there, I saw. He was a good player in his. Was he your age, Anna Di Pasquale? Was he a little younger than you, perhaps?
I'm old.
Oh, Murph, come on.
I'm old. I know I look good. I get a lot of, work here back home in Los Angeles. My face is my future, they say.
Wow. You better keep it fresh then, Murph. That's all I can
keep my
say.
day job. Oh, man.
Well, unexpected hold in play here. And we do hope, as we say, that whoever it is in the crowd is okay.
Personally, I think this helps Mannarino a little bit, because he's completely lost the momentum. After winning that first set, he drops the second. Give him a break to recharge his own batteries.
Do have for the players, they have, of course, the heat policy, the heat rule, don't they? I think when the mercury rises above a certain level, they have like a lamp or a bulb or something that indicates just to when we have to stop play. Remember here the final a few years ago when Serena and Venus were involved, it was 44 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, about 125 or something ridiculous, and they had to close the roof for that one.
I'm not the biggest fan of that.
No, you think they should be playing, whatever the conditions?
Well, for example, I can only speak from my own experience, and that is my brother would have a tough time with the heat and the conditions, and he'd been sent to the hospital a few times in Cincinnati when it got too warm. Now, if I'm his opponent, why should I be penalized, and why should just body types are body types? And I hated playing in the cold. He hated playing in the heat. But at the same time, you don't want people to drop dead on the court. That's for sure.
Ready to play.
Well,
I think it's a good rule. But at the same time, are we going to stop the Tour de France because the hill's too steep?
No, I agree.
It's a tough call, don't you
No,
think?
it is, and you're right. Conditioning. It's being conditioned, isn't it, to play? Well, Juan Martín del Potro has never before lost in the opening round of the Australian Open. The fight back is on. We are level here. 1 set all between Mannarino and del Potro.
Sorry, mate. Thanks, mate. Time.
Day one of live coverage from Melbourne Park, part of ESPN's interactive coverage here. Plenty of court choices for you if you so wish. Maybe you want to flick around, get a game of each. Who knows what your choice is. But here on the Hisense Arena,
Mannarino to serve.
it's Murphy Jensen alongside myself, Nick Lester. Topsy-turvy opening hour or so. Third set.
Love 15.
I guess for Mannarino, it's just about trying to steady things a little bit here, Murph.
Well, he's got the type of game that he's going to have to keep improving as the match goes on. He's not going to hope or hope Del Potro stays inconsistent. The truth is he's lost the momentum and maybe some confidence.
Love 13.
And unforced errors are going to make a difference, without question, from both players. Here we're looking at Mannarino down triple break point, all because he's played a loose game. That's the hard thing when you get a break like that, a delay in the match. Great serve, attacks the forehand, moves up. That forehand's really quick. The racket head speed of Mannarino on the forehand side is deadly.
No, didn't do enough with the first volley, Mannarino. Paid a really heavy price for it. And Del Potro breaks to begin the third set.
First game, third set.
Just kind of guilty of just kind of stabbing the volley, wasn't he? Didn't really. You can see here, decent approach.
Well, I found he was almost out of position. Yeah, exactly what you said. He almost, there's no mustard on the ball, no penetration through the court. And a big guy like Del Potro, has so much firepower, you can't give him a free look at it.
We were touching on this section of the draw. Del Potro, potentially the first seed that he could meet, would actually be his fellow countryman Juan Monaco. Would be in the third round if we were to get there. Marty Fish in this little bit as well. In this half, Federer awaits in the quarters. Again, it's a long way off, but you can see that happening certainly in 10 days' time or so. Oh, what a phenomenal hit.
It looked out to me.
Potro challenged the goal in the right far side. Ball was good.
Almost like he flagged it, tanked the shot, but then it somehow dropped. Delpo's saying that it might be good.
15
Wide it is. Federer this evening begins against Alexander Kudratsev from Russia. Marty Fish in action today as well. He takes on the lefty. Could be an interesting one. Gilles Muller of Luxembourg. He's played some good ball in the last year. How do you assess American prospects here this week, Murph? Roddick and Fish and Isner, those guys. How do you see it?
Well, I like what Marty Fish has been doing with his game. Last week, you know, he's starting the season well with his conditioning and everything else, and you know, turning every stone. He's my top pick for the American side. And then Sam Querrey's playing good ball again.
30-all.
But as far as Andy, I don't think his day is done. But at the same time, it's going to, you know, take a extraordinary effort to refocus. Every player has their peaks and valleys in their careers. And in my opinion, Roddick's far from done if he chooses to keep going. I think a guy like Roger Federer has shown that he's continued to improve with the game. As the game improves behind him, you have to keep improving. But then again, as you know, there are injuries that are involved. And are you willing to keep putting in that extra effort to stay ahead of the group?
Deuce.
And that's the scary thing about the Americans right now. The American group of players coming up, Donald Young or any number of those guys that are fluttering between 65 and 150. It's scary, you know, whether they have the firepower to compete at this world level at the top, because we've been pretty spoiled with Sampras, Agassi, McEnroe, Connors. Years of dominance.
Beautiful. It's the kind of short angle, really, on the forehand. It caught Del Potro out. It was so short in the court, he just couldn't get there. Dropped so low.
There's that great whippy forehand inside out. You're absolutely right. He's utilizing the entire court by hitting that forehand shorter. You know, Delpo's way back, coughing up that last easy forehand.
An opportunity to break straight back here for 23-year-old.
Deuce.
Just going back to the Americans. Do you like what you see in Rainer Harrison? Do you like his game?
Yeah, I do.
You said that with a hesitant.
But
kind of
again,
feel.
you know, it's a tough thing. He doesn't possess, to me, that quality that you see. Look at Delpo. You put Harrison's game in Delpo's body. He is a big boy. Isner's a big guy. Querrey's a big guy. It seems like you better bring more than speed and quickness and a great counterpuncher game. You have to have an offensive game. You have to have every shot in the book to be successful today, not just, you know, one facet of the game. Nadal proves it. He's the greatest clay court player maybe ever to play the game, and then he develops the grass, he develops the big serve, he develops the volley. Those are things Harrison will have to do. And it's scary because I look at when Fish retires, we've got Isner and Querrey leading the pack. And when Roddick retires, and then the Williams sisters retire, the Americans, you know, who is that player? Who's going to be that? But then again, they said the same thing when McEnroe and Connors were done, that American tennis was dead. There were 6 of the top 10 from Sweden, and then Agassi, Sampras, Courier, Chang, Wheaton, Washington. The list goes on and on. We had a great run there for a while.
Yeah, you never know, do you? You just never know when someone's going to come out of the blue, when some kid's going to pop up.
I always say that champion, you know, we're talking about Harrison, we're talking about Donald Young and these players that are floating around out there. I think that player, our next #1 from the U.S., is 12 or 13. You know, they're hearing us say, who's that next champion? And they're spending that extra hour on the courts. They're getting up a little bit early in the morning to hit a few extra serves. They're saying that guy from Argentina is not going to practice harder than me. And that's really the philosophy that you've got to have.
Have you got enough kids playing the sport over here? Is it in the States, is it still an issue that baseball and American football and basketball are taking too many tennis players away, or has that never been an issue? Is that something that's over talked about?
I think here in America that we're pretty spoiled. We've got college tennis. So if you're not necessarily ready to turn professional, you can go there, but it hasn't been the great feeder system of the past where you can go to college for a year or two, turn professional, and still make it out there. Or, you know, I just don't think that being number one is in the mindset of the American juniors. You know, at some point, they lose the dream. When they're 10, 11, 12, being number one or playing Wimbledon is the dream. By 15, 16, you know, Jack Sock, I like him.
Just won a Futures in Florida
You know,
today.
he's got good swagger. You know,
Oh, he's missed it, but starting to unleash.
I just love his backhand. I mean, when he sets up, there's so much real estate on the body of Del Potro. You know, his feet are spread apart. He's got great balance, and you know, the ball's not coming back. When he unleashes a shot like that, he's sending a message like, I can hit this ball, and when I do make it, it's not coming back. And the best players play the game, play the points, you know, they know what points they can throw away. And if they land these big shots, they're going to crush their opponents. If they miss them, then they can tighten up the ship and get back to consistency and basics.
Fantastic hitting from Mannarino again. Great length on the backhand. Only going the one way, but Del Potro not up to the task.
Here's two totally different body types. One long and lanky and one with short arms. And both getting great power from both of their games.
Missed it. Mannarino is on the board in this third set. Del Potro, though, with the break. 2-1.
Thanks, bro. I have friends already as well for you. And then
Some of the latest scores from around the grounds. Bethany Maddox-Sands, well, could be a good day's work as far as she's concerned, because Agnieszka Radwanska is a set down. She could possibly be the new world number one. Radwanska, would you believe, the end of this week, but not the way she's going at the moment. Hantukova is a set down to Lachenko. Good stuff from her. And, well, that's a repeat of the first round at the French Open some 8 months ago, and Nicolas Almagro is on the comeback after dropping the first set against Lucas Kubot. That's a set apiece. Feliciano Lopez, the lefty from Spain, seeded at 18 here, taking on Florian Mayer. Tricky opening first round, that one. 7-5, 2-love. Or is it Leonardo Mayer? I have to check that. I think it might be Leonardo Mayer. I think Florian might well be seeded. We shall check for you. Murphy's on the case.
I'm on something. I like how you said Feliciano Lopez. Very Catalan of you. Feliciano. Beautiful volley. Call that the Rick Leach special. Little spangle, spin angle. Sets it up with a beautiful approach. Covers the line. Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, just to confirm, it was Leonardo Maya, not Florian. So Feliciano Lopez is currently winning against. That one's by Davidenko, possibly, or Chipola.
There's so many colorful names in the draw. It's Davidenko.
We should have a Scrabble version of tennis, Merv.
Totally.
A lot of points to be scored.
Shh, that's my idea. It's my next business venture. Excellent rallies. Just a cross-court battle.
Just mistimed it.
He's mistimed the last two backhands. One where he felt he wasn't moving forward into the court. Could have used a little spin in that one. Just way out in front.
He's running out of steam here. Ideas as Del Potro moves further ahead. When he plays at his very best behind the big four, is he number 5, do you think? You mentioned Songa, you were talking about Songa earlier on. And
if he's playing his best, there's no question. I would. He's in the top 3. You know, I might even bump Murray out and put him ahead of Murray.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on Andy Murray again. Of course, the sole British player here. As far as the men are concerned, we have this every single Grand Slam, it would seem. But Ivan Lendl, interesting, possibly one of the most fascinating stories, I think, of the winter break for Murray to bring Lendl on board. That's some story. And Lendl, who's been away from the game for so long. A leap of faith, really, from him to join Murray. that surprise you that he made that move, or not really?
It was a surprising move, but at the same time, I think it's an excellent move by Murray because their personalities are very similar and their careers are so similar. For all of Murray's struggles, then Lendl's struggles for so many years before he turned the corner. But Lendl really turned it with a match. There was one match in Paris, down 2-11 a break to McEnroe, that made all the difference. From that moment on, he went from, I mean, he may have been still a Czech or an American at that time. I don't know what he is right now, but a guy that can do anything. He can beat anybody. And Rochi made the biggest impact on his game. You know, you started that conversation with saying the pressure that Murray faces every single Grand Slam, but at the same time, Lendl understands that pressure and will maybe relieve some of it by saying, all right, let's not talk about winning a Grand Slam. Let's talk about, because I've interviewed Lendl and I've spent a lot of time with him. He's once told me that he never sought out to win Grand Slams. He sought out to see how many matches he could win. He felt if he had won 2,000-3,000 matches in his career that he'll probably be successful. Does that mean he's going? So I think Ivan will be able to take the winning and losing of majors out of the equation and focus on what's important, and those are the nuts and bolts of actually playing the game.
Sure.
Because in finals, it seems like Murray becomes a different guy. He doesn't bring the same game that gets him to the finals.
Yeah, I thought the most revealing thing that Murray said the other day, and of course these players don't give a lot away in press conferences, they're generally very cagey, but Murray said something along the lines of, well, he knows what it's like to play a Grand Slam final at 7 o'clock in the evening and have the whole day to sit and think about it, and that to me said so much about what Murray needs. He needs someone to tell him what to do between 10 in the morning and 7 at night, and how to behave and how to think, because you've got to trick your mind. It's a big match. We know it's a big match. It's a Grand Slam final. He knows that. Everyone knows that. But the trick of it is to try and treat it as a normal match, or to try and be as calm and as serene, if you like, as you can be. And Lendl, it may be that Lendl says the same thing that you would say, or I would say, or whoever would say to Andy Murray. It might have been anything different, but it's Ivan Lendl, and that might be the key.
Sure. It's getting that new perspective, a perspective that works, a perspective. You know, even the Connors Roddick experiment was successful. You know, Andy Roddick was taking the backhand early and, you know, really playing aggressive. And the fact that Jimmy Connors is in the box, you're like, Jimmy's up there. I can't dump this set, or I'm not going to let up. And Jimmy's here. He believes in me, and I'm not going to waste his time or my time. I love Lendl. I love everything what he was about as a player, as a professional, and their personalities are very similar. They were both two guys that were not the most favorably liked professionally. Yet they've got these great sense of humors that if you knew them personally, they're crack ups. And I think they're a good match.
Yeah, and Lendl was known just for being a warrior as a worker, wasn't he? I mean, he would just do anything. He would just work and work until he bled on a daily basis.
He was a machine. He was the original Terminator. You know, the stoic look on his face. I think he also played a part in Rocky IV when he played the Russian. Dragomir. or Drago. But very similar.
Yeah.
You know, his veins popping out of his head. Taking cracks at McEnroe at the net.
Yeah, there's a great line actually in Pete Sampras's biography written by Coasted by Pete Bodo, and he talks about when he went to train with Lendl and
Connecticut.
Yeah, and I think there was some story about Lendl driving the car up the hill, and Sampras was at the back, and he had to sprint up and follow the car or something crazy like that. It was absolutely crazy. But Yeah, that was the sort of ethics that Lendl employed, and if you went to train with him and you didn't live up to it, well, you weren't going to train anymore, because that was what he was going to do, and that's where the bar was set.
Yep. Mannarino's close to getting back on serve, and that's why he's so frustrated. He's playing these points, and Delpo just being too powerful, in my opinion.
Missed it. Mannarino fired up. And it does look to me, I don't know, maybe it's just me, it does look to me that the conditions are slow. It doesn't look as though the guys are able to get the ball through the court that well. We have touched on how the balls can fluff up here in Melbourne quite a lot, especially as time goes on. Of course, 7 and 9, the changes to the new balls.
It's definitely not quick, like the old U.S. Open days where the ball penetrated through the court. It's not slick. It's still a high bouncing ball. Day and night has big differences there.
Disgusting, the error on break point.
You know, and he's wrestling with Delpo right now. He realizes that the best chance he has is to grind him down, but it's a tough nut because Delpo's such a big player with so many weapons that, in my opinion, unless Mannarino gets around and starts ripping that forehand like he did in the first set, and Delpo has a letdown, he's going to be in trouble.
Picking on the backhand of Del Potro, but with the error.
You would think that these long points would favor Del Potro, but actually I think it's, favoring Delpo, because eventually the backhand shot really isn't there after 3 or 4 strikes by Mannarino.
Just pulled off that one, just leaning the wrong way. And Del Potro moves 4-2 ahead in the third.
Leads by 4 games to 2, third set.
Do you think conditions have got a lot slower since you were playing 20 years ago? Balls heavier and slower, courts slower, or is that a bit of a myth?
I'm just slower, and no, but there's no question. I think it seems slower as well because players are playing 5-10 feet behind the baseline, so it looks like it takes more time for the ball. You know, there's more distance there in the real estate, like in ping pong. Even I even look at when I'm watching these matches, it seems like a supersized ping pong court because last year at the Wimbledon final with Djokovic and Nadal, Djok was up on the baseline. Nadal's returning serve 50 feet behind the baseline. I think, as you would probably agree, the string has been the biggest difference.
Massively so.
And they don't miss.
No.
You know, the control and the timing and the power, and the accuracy with the technology of the rackets today.
What string did you use?
Good question. Big strike. I used the Prince Graphite 110 in my best tennis, and original Pro Blend. It was Kevlar main strings, nylon cross, but then I eventually moved into the Luxilon era before my elbow was shredded, and then I went with the hybrid with the gut, like Roger does today, and it's a little bit easier on the arm, but I used a very stiff string. And the players today with this new technology is stringing their rackets looser, which is giving them more power, more spin, a little bit less control, but the string gives them more control, or even the rackets.
40-15.
You know, at this stage in the match, I see Mannarino here with hitting his big bomber ace. He has two choices here. Take a stab at it and change up his game plan, maybe playing more aggressive now and hope for that break to win this set, or he's going to have to do in the fourth set. He's going to have to make a move somewhere. And like I said a few points ago, the longer the point, the better chance that Del Potro is going to win the point. The longer these points have drawn out, Del Po is dominating those long points. Does that make him a serve and volleyer? No, but I think it's going to have to make Mannarino a guy that's willing to pull the trigger and move forward. Play for real estate.
Just footwork a little lacking from Del Potro, and you can see his frustrations. But the good news for him, he still leads by a break in this third set. 4-3 it is.
Time.
I can tell you that Kevin Anderson is about to become the first man into the second round of the Australian Open, because he leads by 2-0 and 5-2 on Freddie Nielsen. Anderson, the number 30 seed from South Africa. 4-3. Mannarino again dictating play, pushing Del Potro one way then the other.
And that's a great move. Inside the baseline, hits a nice flat backhand. He's got a flat forehand and a whippy forehand, flat backhand with a whippy topspin forehand. That's a great move.
Love 13.
Huge swing. Big swing, but here's the shank. Takes his eye off the ball just for a hair.
He's missed it.
Del Potro challenging.
He wants to have a look, but I suspect, given the body language of both players, this one might just have missed. He has
Love 14.
3 break points.
And to me, I saw Delpo's footwork break down there. Didn't quite get the feet around to make that shot.
Nets for 7.
I call this meat and potatoes. There's the big first serve, open court forehand. The old 1-2 punch.
Mr. Ian Smith, but one challenge remaining confirmed.
In the effects microphone of the umpire. So close.
Tight net. These nets are so tight. It's like hitting a brick wall. And that ball hits the top. It's on the run. You know, to work so hard to have a millimeter make the difference. It's disappointing.
2 down, but 1 remains for Mannarino to get back on level terms.
Nets for 7.
What a volley. Del Potro pays the price for stopping midway through the rally inexplicably, and Mannarino is back level with 4-all. Well, he must have thought it was long.
It was strange. There he is. He stands up, coughs up a short ball, but what a volley to break. So low. Mannarino mentally has, hung in there really well. I don't see what his reputation as being a guy who's inconsistent. He's really just staved off, hung in there, stayed hungry, and he made that adjustment that I was hoping thinking he would have had to make.
It's a great smash as well over his right shoulder, not easy.
15.
And his success is coming from taking advantage of the short ball, taking chances. He's winning the big points from the net. Hoping Del Potro is going to miss, or he makes up for his lack of punch with a net game, with an attack game. And the wind has left the sails of Del Potro in this game. You're cruising right along, you're up a break, and there goes your momentum within a point.
Oh, beautiful again off the drop shot. Del Potro way back in the court. Doesn't even attempt to run for it.
Well, it's a perfect drop shot. He just takes it, uncorks it with the backhand. But look how he takes a short swing. He pretends he's going to hit top. Then the drop shot dragon appears.
Albert Portas, wasn't he the drop shot dragon?
I don't know.
Nickname.
Sounds like a Harry Potter character. The drop shot dragon.
Yeah, it's getting interesting here in this third set. Juan Martín Del Potro led by a break, but has conceded 3 straight games. And Mannarino is within a game now of moving ahead 2-1.
Time.
You can see the numbers very similar as far as first serve points won and second serve points won are concerned.
That second serve points won percentage is the number that really surprises me from Del Potro. And you'd mentioned earlier in the second set how unusually low they were for a player like Delpo with such big power.
Yeah, you'd certainly expect him to back up his second serve a little better than down on that low figure. But anyway, needs to find some energy here, because Mannarino has managed to sneak ahead. 4-5.
Out! 15.
Back to basics game for Del Potro. Just meat and potatoes. First serve. Points won. That's a close one.
Del Potro challenge to the call, left near sideline. The ball's good out.
It's the Argentine who wants another look, and he's wrong to do so.
Wait, wrong image, wait.
Ah.
It's the wrong image. James to Ian Smith.
Day one glitches.
Exactly.
Getting out the kinks.
Maybe the boys in Hawkeye had a quick sandwich there and took their eye off the ball.
Anything's possible with Hawkeye.
Exactly. They're a smart bunch, though, I tell you, in the Hawkeye box. They're all got very good degrees. Engineering, chemical engineering is what you've got to have a degree in to be able to work the Hawkeye.
Okay, are you going to show it on the big screen for us, mate?
Same result.
Hawkeye retired the Jensen brothers. We
Did
called we called our own lines. We were much higher ranked.
Okay, I see. They knew their place with you.
Yeah, they just top 10 to goodbye. Great opportunity here for Mannarino.
Got it on a mistimed forehand, and Mannarino's all over it.
That's the thing with Del Potro's forehand. It's such a big wind-up. Second serve. Takes the return early. And he gets that miss hit, but taking the return early, not letting the ball get above his shoulders.
Oh, such great defense from Mannarino, and he just couldn't last the pace.
The human sponge.
14.
Just absorbing that power. And that's a shame. Not being able to get his feet around and in position, which lost him the power to get that ball back one more time.
Seems to be reading the play so well. Del Potro just about squeaks that game out. Draws It's to parity again at fives.
5 games or 30 sets. Get him the towels. Over here, mate. The towel. Thanks.
Del Potro's season last year, it took about 6 weeks. I had a break of about 5 to 6 weeks because as he prepared for that Davis Cup final, so I don't know for certain, but you'd suspect that after the Davis Cup final he would have gone straight to pre-season training as opposed to actually having another break. That break in the autumn he had in the fall, you would have thought would have been his kind of off-season.
And I'm a believer that the next player to crack that top 10 or top 10 to top 5 is the player that has a great off season, has their injuries under control. I believe the winner of the French Open started training in December.
There's that off forehand again. Del Potro getting frustrated.
15 left.
It almost seemed like Mannarino mishit that forehand, but it doesn't matter how you get the ball to the spot. You know, he's utilizing the whole court. Those short angles are proving to be very effective against Delpo. Didn't finish his shot on that forehand. Just tried to block it back.
Nets for service.
Right there, Del Potro's footwork breaking down on the backhand side. Great opportunity for Mannarino to push this to a 4th, 5th set or breaker in this set. Uh-oh.
Well, the idea was good. I like the idea. Caught him by surprise, but the volley was poor.
He really came up on this. Great serve volley play. But the volley opened up the face too much. On the inside out, you've got to stick it. Put some juice on the volley. That's going to leave a mark.
Oh, he got in trouble. Beautiful little slice, but Mannarino again, when he was up at the net, was found just a little bit wanting.
Well, I see that he hesitated. There's his opportunity. He makes it, hits forward, and he stops. You don't see it there, but he stopped just a hair as opposed to just barreling in and giving the lob away to catch up to a shot like that. Can't hesitate when you make the move to the net against a player with the reach of Del Potro. Second serve. Not good for Mannarino.
Oh, one of his biggest forehands of the day for Juan Martín Del Potro. A crushing blow. How's that going to see him to this third set? He's broken again here. He leads it 6-5 and will try and serve it out.
Time.
Well, the mercury's certainly rising here on the opening day of play at Melbourne Park. We are live as part of ESPN's interactive coverage of the opening major of the tennis year. It's been a good one, this. It's had plenty of twists and turns. Nick Lester alongside Murphy Jensen.
Hello.
We shall see if Delpo can wrap up this third set.
Left.
6 years he's been on tour now, Del Potro. Just one too many of the droppers.
Well, in percentage play, first serve percentages are high in this game. 2 up, 2 down, 2 first serves. He gets himself in a little trouble, and you're absolutely right. You live with the drop shot, you die with the drop shot. Crunch.
So key with the drop shot to make sure you're in the right position in the court, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Just too far back there. The ball had to travel too far.
And you see, I believe that every single player is like, they are like their own personal computer program, and you've got to find the virus for your opponent. What's it going to take to throw them off their game, get them to, play into your strengths?
3 set points for the number 11 seed here. He's got it, Del Potro. It's been a bit of a struggle, certainly a strange third set. He was in command, he then let it slip just in the nick of time. Exactly an hour it took that set. He is one more to reach the second round.
Time.
We're on the Hisense Arena here, under the baking hot Aussie summer. Of course, summer holidays is here as well in January for the kids. They're at school for the whole of the month, so they get a perfect opportunity to come down and watch some tennis. Right next to the big cricket ground, this as well, the MCG. Aussies love their cricket. They're doing pretty well this summer as well, the Australians. Giving India a bit of a thrashing. But of course, being American, Murph, you wouldn't know what cricket is, would you?
You're talking to a very international man.
Okay. Of course I am.
Some say I'm one of the most interesting people on the planet.
I won't ask you to explain the rules of cricket then.
Well,
I'm sure you could.
I actually grew up in a little town in India. I was a famous spin bowler in my village. And I prefer the one-day color cricket over the 7-day test any day of the week.
Yes, indeed.
So how am I doing?
You're doing very well so far.
It's like baseball without the hot dogs.
That's right, exactly. Exactly.
It's more Pims.
Very true. Sometimes you need a glass of Pims at the end of the day.
And a hot dog.
Yeah.
15-13.
Yeah, Melbourne Park is incredible because there's so many things to do just in and around, as we discussed with the city being, it's in the heart of the city. The Yarra, take a little swim or not.
Yeah, I like it. Melbourne's got a lot of soul as a city. I think it's a beautiful part of the country. It really is. It's a little different to Sydney. Sydney has a little more energy, perhaps. Melbourne a little more...
Maybe younger.
Yeah,
Melbourne's more family.
Yeah, I think so.
More community.
Someone said the other day Melbourne has a bit more soul than Sydney.
Kind of like New York.
Yeah, a little more. A good way to put it. Oh, made it right on the line.
I mean, that is just
14-13.
a perfect. You have to hit a perfect lob with Delpo because towering in as tall as he is, he pushes him forward, takes the bait, little bunt lob, Jimmy Connors style with the left hand.
Backhand again.
Well, this is an important game. Mannarino, is not getting a ton of opportunities to take the lead. And so early on in a set is really important for him to get started and get himself established.
Advantage the Potro.
I'm seeing fatigue out of Mannarino right now. Needs a first serve desperately.
It's a break to begin this fourth set. And Del Potro looking stronger and stronger. Just a quick note as well on one of the perhaps the marquee matchups of the day. Fernando Verdasco has taken the first set against Bernard Tomic, 6-4 for the Spaniard there. main Rod Laver Arena. Tomic, who won the Kooyong exhibition event, coming in here last week in Melbourne, beating Marty Fish in the final. Such a short little swing it is in Australia, only 2 weeks of tennis prior to this, of course. And actually none of the big three played in Australia prior to the Aussie Open this year. Only Andy Murray chose to play in Brisbane. It's a little more like it, the footwork, just a little sharper there, wasn't it, to make some space?
Sure. And the way Del Potro is setting up the forehand, you know, he can hit knockout punches off his back foot. That last shot was well deep off his back foot, but he set it up with taking control early in the point. And what's sad for Mannarino is that Delpo is finding his way around that court and finding his sweet spot, just tagging big shots. And there's an opportunity where Delpo went for a shot, maybe off court, out of position, but he's up 30-15. It was a well-timed gamble.
It's been a feature of his play today, just how well he's returned the serve of the Argentine. Another one that lands within an inch or so of the baseline. Check this return out.
Well, he's got such a short backswing. Just basically it's redirecting the pace of the ball. Kind of like a volley, but with a ground stroke. There's not a lot of backswing. Short backswing on the approach. Good night, sweet prince.
Tremendous little slice, wasn't it?
Oh, dagger. He's saying he needs to move. But of course, the French way of life is the only way of life. But you have to move when you come to the net. You approach down the line, you got to cover the line.
It was Tony Pickard who said about Stefan Edberg, watch his feet at the net, watch his feet as a volleyer. It's the key to it.
From Star Trek, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
When the new coach comes into the football team, the team's normally struggling. I was feeling good at the end of last year. But yeah, like I said, I'm not going to get the benefits from having Ivan this week. I'm going to see it in 6 months.
Certainly was close.
One other thing to
We've got a great Tony Picard story. He's coaching Edberg, Monte Carlo, and the Swedes. He had a great sense of humor, smart man. And all the Swedish players, and we all rallied together and played a prank, and we all charged our room service to his room.
To pick up to Edberg's or
to Picard's room.
Picard's room, yeah.
And he showed up at the checkout and had a $43,000 bill.
And how did he take it?
It took a while to sort out the receipts.
No, I mean, I've always been more of the opinion that if you want to step on the court,
little bunt almost up the line
you don't
from Mannarino.
make excuses about any injuries or whatever, bad line calls or anything else that goes on. You
gorgeous
win
approach up
like a man, you lose like a man, and that's.
He's got these short backswings on both wings.
The same's going to apply this year. I think pretty much every player goes into matches with niggles, and very rarely in the whole year. Played around 80 matches last year. You go onto the court feeling perfect. So it's one of the things you deal with being a professional athlete, is dealing with niggles and niggle injuries, and you just got to get on with it. Hi. No, I'd never.
Huge opportunity here.
I'd spoken to him once or twice about.
Let's see what he does with it. I say if he gets a second serve, he's got to up the ante and go for it. Be aggressive.
And I chatted to him a couple of times then. But
if it's the first serve, play for the second or third shot.
So I didn't really know him there. I've really enjoyed being around him. He's been
good or challenge.
He has, as you probably expect, a lot of great stories to tell, and he doesn't hang around
the line
all the time when we get the work done. He
that reminds me of Taylor Dent back in the day.
Yeah, we've got on well so far. Hopefully that continues.
Oh, super transition. Woo! From defense to offense.
That's a counter puncher dream there. To go from up into the court to deep in the court to back up in the court. That's what the best players are doing, and they have to do it in a hurry. They can't get to that short ball and watch things happen. I always say, watch how a player like Nadal or Federer moves without the ball. The best players move well when they're not hitting the ball. It's between shots. And that is just a beast of a serve. 188 kilometers per hour. What is that?
It's about 132.
1,000 miles per hour.
Exactly.
It's fast. 132.
Who's the fastest server you ever faced?
Ruzetsky. Indoors. Court 2 in Memphis. Or Philippoussis. Wimbledon. Court 2.
Really?
It's a tough one.
Wow.
Or Court 1. Whatever. So many names for these stadium courts now. It's out there in the
somewhere
field.
On the grass.
But with Ruzetsky, there was a short backdrop. We weren't on the stadium court, so there wasn't a lot of space. And so when his serve would hit the back tarp, it was like a bomb going off.
Yeah, I saw Greg actually in London last week. He's promoting a new brand of rackets at the moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a new set of sticks that he's got. He's trying to push.
Entrepreneur?
He is.
Okay, Mannarino.
Del Potro's broken again here. Another forehand that sails way up into the stands.
1 game all, 4 sets.
He can't shake his man off. Yeah. Actually, Ruzetsky was due to play Tim Henman in the Champions Tour at the Royal Albert Hall.
Now that's a stadium. I've played there.
Pretty nice, huh?
Oh, it's premier.
Yeah, it's a beautiful little arena in Kensington, West London.
Love 15.
And what happened in that match?
Well, Tim pulled out. No, Greg pulled out actually.
Was
he
he
had an
scared?
injury? He
Was
might
injured?
have been. Yeah.
He might have been
Now, I'll
scared.
tell you what happened. He was playing in Chile, I think.
Was
in
he playing as a
Champions
Brit
Tour.
or a Canadian? Or
It depends what suited on the morning, you know. See how he felt.
poor Greg. He takes so much heat for that.
He does.
Love 13.
Boy, could he serve the ball, though.
Jeez.
It's a real live arm. Certain players, Taylor Dent had a real live arm like that. Goran, obviously.
Yeah.
Just wicked. It seems to me, though, to play at the premier level, you've got to have big everything.
Yeah.
If you stand a chance at winning a major, you better be bringing heat from all wings, from your service game to the return game to your quickness on the court. You really can't have huge weaknesses. And their games, those Grand Slam winners are built from the ground up, starting with speed.
Got him. Yeah, it's no coincidence, is it? The top 4 in the game, probably with Ferrer at 5, are all the best athletes. Those guys are the best movers on tour, right? Those
Yep,
top 4. And
for
Ferrer
sure.
at 5, probably the same, you could say.
And by being a good mover, your strokes will follow. By having great footwork, setting up for the ball, less mistakes are made. Unforced errors, the numbers usually tell the story, and a player that makes more unforced errors is usually the player with the less athletic ability.
Game Del Potro.
Lazy forehand.
Yeah, and he's been broken. And it's 3 breaks to begin this 4th set here.
4 sets. And by
Del
2 sets.
Potro, 2-1 to the good in sets and games.
Yeah, please. Thanks. Seats quickly, please. Time.
Today for the fans to get their fans out and cool off. It's known as reaching peaks as far as temperatures are concerned. That's why what you've done in your off-season tends to be rather more highlighted here if you haven't put the work in.
And that's what scares me, or I fear for Roger Federer's success at this year's Fortnite will be determined by his health and how much preparation he's really had coming in.
Any seat for now? Players are ready. Thank you.
That's just solid. Simple and solid. That was a burner at 198. I think that's 136.
Not far off, Murph.
I'm somewhere in the ballpark. Miles per hour.
You're doing pretty well. That's beautiful. So easy way he changes direction on the back end. It's not easy to do that.
I call a player like this almost like a bunter with
Yeah.
a big forehand loopy, spinny shot to the flat, almost no backswing backhand of Mannarino. It's keeping things short and compact, and he just lacks that firepower. He's not going to be able to knock Del Potro out unless he gets creative.
One man pulling the strings and the other man just reacting.
30-15.
And when a player's on the baseline being moved side to side, Delpo from pretty much the center of the court, the problem with pulling him out, you're then giving him all that room. What an angle. What a shot to see the point develop.
Mannarino challenging the ball, right center service line. The ball's good.
Another challenge, and beautifully placed. I think that's what I like so much about Del Potro's serve, is he places the ball so bloody well. It's not just an ace. I think he's got more power in reserve, but he throws out there three-quarter serves at a $130 average, but he places it so well, kind of like Federer. That's what makes his serve so effective. It's not a bomber like the servers we talked about. He really utilizes the entire service box.
Game.
I think most players would tell you that Federer's serve is the hardest to read of anyone's on tour.
Leads by 3 games to 1.
Because the ball toss is just identical, isn't it? Where he actually hits it from.
Yep.
You just can't pick it.
This is excellent, keeping the ball up, but it's a short angle into the service box. By doing that, to get that angle, he has to take a little bit of pace off the ball and add a little spin. And that ball is still in the air.
Good job of rushing Del Potro. And it's a very, actually, that backhand stays very low. For a big man, it's almost at knee height. You can see here, look how low that ball is.
This has been a little bit of a lazy game for Del Potro. Not necessarily fighting for it because he knows he's got a break. Oh, come on.
So Mannarino with another game, and he reduces the arrears, but Del Potro is 3 holds away from victory.
Time. Time violation, warning Mr. Del Potro.
Well, I've seen that before from Del Potro, and a time violation for taking just a few too many seconds. Was it 20? Is it 20? Between points.
25, I want to say, but
25.
it could be 20. It changed from 30 to 25.
Yeah.
But 30 to 20, I want to say it went to 25 back in 95.
I think actually there's different rules from the ITF and the ATP. I'm pretty sure at slams it's either 20 maybe here or 25 here and 20 on the ATP Tour. It's different, I'm sure it is.
When they moved it from 30, that very first week, I actually was defaulted from a match.
Really?
That I was winning 6-2, 5-1, 30
No.
love, hand of God. And the umpire came out, and it was because my opponent was complaining a call, and he took about 9 minutes. And then the first set, I had been given a violation for being a second or two over. And he was complaining a call for 9 minutes, and I went up because I was bored. I was lonely. I just wanted someone to talk to, and I started talking to the umpire, and he says, well, and I said, well, it's kind of ridiculous, don't you think, that it's taken 9 minutes for him to complain this call, and you give me the violation for 2 seconds? And he says, well, there's nothing I can do. And
That's an unbelievable
I
story.
actually had a word
I'm sure.
that I shouldn't have said.
Yes. Okay.
But I wasn't upset. That's what was that was the kicker. That was the kicker. I spent the next 7 days signing autographs in New Haven, Connecticut, and paying my fine.
Yes.
What a killer. I go, I'm winning. I'm not upset. Just
Cut me a break.
got a bad tone of voice. What a forehand. That's Delpo. That is just
15-13.
how he does it. That's why he's such a threat to all the big boys in the top four. Inside out forehand, laser. You set it up, he's going to clean it up. Perfect forehand inside out.
Just outstanding hitting from the big Argentine.
See ya. I could say exactly what I said in the last replay. He steps up into the court, gets the coughed up forehand. I mean, and there's so much margin there. He's not aiming for a line, which keeps his unforced errors 16-10. Del Potro isn't winning because of the amount of winners he hits. It's because of his consistency, his power, and his control. Just wearing down Mannarino. I mean, if you're a young junior out there, Del Potro's a great guy to watch because he really plays within himself. He doesn't overdo it, and he always has that little bit of a reserve. He's holding back almost to keep his unforced errors and his consistency up and his unforced errors down.
Juice. He's out. Advantage, Del Potro.
First serve percentage has just crept up as the match has progressed. Up just below the 60% mark now for Del Potro. 58. Benchmark for someone like Del Potro, early 60s, probably first serve percentage. That's where he's looking to be, isn't he?
Yeah, 65, mid 60s is good because it's so effective.
Phenomenal.
Juice.
You can see how this guy could really get under your skin as a player because he's a little unorthodox.
You know, 1 minute he's coming with the net assault, the crashing and the attack game. The next minute he's bunting the ball around, taking the pace off the ball, redirecting power.
Advantage, Del Potro.
And it seems like this is a mirror of the last set where Mannarino's just going to hang around and hope for an opportunity to break back.
Game, Del Potro.
Del Potro in front, 4-2. This fourth set.
Del Potro leads by 4 games to 2.
ESPN's interactive coverage here, live on the Australian Open 2012. Nick Lester alongside Murphy Jensen out here on the Hisense Arena. Used to be called the Vodafone Arena, this, didn't it? So change of sponsor.
I've been playing a long time. I've been around the game a long time. It's all the different sponsorships. I know Laver, Rosewall.
15.
The history with Stali, Emo.
Yeah.
You know, they've got so many great champions surrounding this arena. Even over at Kooyong with the history of where the Australian Open used to be played is incredible.
Moved here in 1988, I think it was, is that right? Moved to Melbourne Park from Kooyong.
Sounds about right.
Onto the grass as well. We were formerly on the grass at Kooyong. They were playing there.
30.
as soon as they made the move here, their attendance is doubled from where we were previously, in the suburbs. Oh, stop it.
It's a laser from inside the court.
30-15.
With angle
Nice
as well.
little, yeah, but there's that looper. Delpo's just has the perfect amount of spin and power. You know, it's that in between flat. You know, if he was just a guy that hit a ton of top spin, it wouldn't serve him. But he manages the court so well. Relentless.
30.
And he doesn't make mistakes. Delpo looking for some insurance, hoping for another break.
Nets for service.
His best showing on tour last year, Mannarino, was when he reached the semis in South Africa in Johannesburg, an event that won't be played this year. It's been dropped. The event in Joburg. He won't be able to defend those points. He'll have to go somewhere else to try and pick those up.
3 4 sets and by 2 sets to 1.
Del Potro, 2 games away. As the scores from around the grounds, Verdasco going well against Bernie Tomic. Level in the second. Thomas Burdick is set to the good against Albert Ramos of Spain, but Ramos has a break in the second set. An epic match going on out there between Bethany Maddox-Sands and Aggie Radvanska, a set all 2-all. And there's Paula Hercog and Julia Gorgeous. 6-3 for the German first set. Koska and Marita also going on. They're level. Not long matches to kick off the Aussie Open this year, it would seem. And if you do want to get in touch with us, that is the way to do it. Facebook, go to facebook.com/E3 ITV Tennis, or get on Twitter. You can tweet us at ITV Tennis. You got a Twitter account, Murph?
Absolutely, Murphy Jensen.
Very good. And
Twitter.
Murphy Jensen.
My middle name's Twitter.
Ah, okay. Well, I don't follow you, and I should be following you, so I'll do that in a minute.
On it. I tweeted this morning.
All right, I've got to get onto that. It's my job right now.
Ooh. 350 million followers. Murphy Jensen. It's awesome.
Yes, that's awesome as well. Silky stuff.
15.
Social media sure has taken its place in the game of tennis.
Yeah, it really is.
No, I love following Federer, Serena, Delpo, and another. I mean, that shot is just too good. I mean, I'd tweet that. If I could hit that shot, I'd tweet that. And what's your Twitter?
Oh, I'm
comment?
pretty simple, Murph. Just Nick Lester. Pretty simple.
Same as mine.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
No decoding the messages, Nick Lester.
That's right. Very simple.
Renaissance man. Man of mystery.
Absolutely. What's Luke doing these days? Is he still coaching Syracuse? Or?
He's the head women's tennis coach at Syracuse University.
You enjoying that?
I think so. He loves developing American players. He recruits Americans to play for the American universities, and he likes to recruit those who still have a desire and a dream to become professional players. So he likes to be the bridge between college and a Wimbledon final. He just won't open up that fly fishing guide service with me in Alaska. You know, I need someone to do this with, someone to do the heavy lifting,
the heavy work,
the oaring. You know, just
you got to pay him more, Murph. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the problem.
You got to put an extra 0 on that check.
Yeah. Oh man. No, I love getting together with Luke and playing some doubles in the Legends events and different appearances that we do. It's just a ball because we don't get a chance to play like we used to. But I still get to carry him. It's good to be number one in the family.
Didn't miss by much.
Fatigue seems to be setting in for Mannarino. The sense of urgency, I really don't feel it on this court from him at this point. He looks almost too relaxed to me.
Nothing relaxed about that huge first delivery from Mannarino del Potro, who now needs just a game to jump over the first hurdle here. He's done a good job, Mannarino, today of mixing it up and moving the ball around the court, spreading the court, as we like to say.
He has played a nice match. And he's got a lot of weapons. There's one, for example, that's my famous mother's meatloaf.
Ah, yes. Now, mother's meatloaf. I'll remember that one, Murph.
It's when you slide the player off the court, take a little pace off the serve, add a little spin, a little spice.
Well, when I go back to London and I do a couple of coaching clinics, I'll tell my pupils we're going to do the mother's meatloaf, and I'll see who gets it, what we're going to do. I might be out of a job by the time the session ends.
Well, on Sundays you can do a pot roast. Teach the pot roast.
Okay, well, you'll have to tell me. You have to give me a diagram of that one.
I'll give you a recipe. Oh man, that's what I love about this game is all the different cultures and characters and everything you get to learn as a player. You know, this game can take anybody to places beyond belief.
Yeah, it's a game that's been globalized really in recent years. That's for sure.
14-13.
What a lazy point by Mannarino. He just tossed that ball. Did you notice that?
He just didn't try. He just nothing, no footwork or anything.
Yeah, and a game ago I sensed a little fatigue.
well that serve has worked for him today. So much work and spin to take it away from Del Potro's backhand. But he must break to stay alive, because the Argentine will try and seal the deal here, 5-4.
And by 2 sets to 1. Would you just change over?
Well, this is not particularly good for Del Potro, who's just getting a little bit of work here on the groin, it would seem, from the tour trainer down there.
Not at all, especially that it's in the first round. The last thing you want to be feeling is strains and pulls, especially in the legs, because it's really a 2-week marathon with days off in between, and you start developing nagging injuries early. I think the players that win these tournaments are the ones that stay healthy.
But the number 11 seed here, man who's in the quarter-final a couple of years ago, on the verge.
15.
Certainly been a tricky day's work for him. To play catch-up, really, right from the off. But as we've said before, over the course of a 5-set match, if you do lose a set, it's not the end of the world. It's that little bit of breathing space in the slams. Certainly, you feel that helps the big boys.
It's kitchen sink time, throwing everything but at this Del Potro. I mean, he's really got to find a way to get the ball back into play and execute some points. The way Del Po's been playing the last 3 service games, high percentage for serves, just cracking his shots, not missing. It's a tough one for Mannarino.
Del Potro challenging the call on the service line. Ball's put out.
Oh,
second service.
beautiful red and beautifully finished from Juan Martín Del Potro. What a deft touch.
40-11.
It's been a little puzzle for him to solve today. Mannarino's played some really good stuff at times. It's been a little awkward, a little prickly. Del Potro is about to move through here. 3 match points for the number 11 seed.
40-15.
An untimely double, but it's a good time. If there's ever a good time to double fault.
Oh, he was just a little too casual. In the end, a great